thank you for the opportunity to share, and thank you, Earl Daughter, for getting this underway, and appreciate the honor that you provided to our family. I was taught to always be kind, befriend the lonely, put others first, and defend the helpless. My siblings and I were raised with an impossibly strong sense of justice. The message my parents stressed by their example was, what if that were you? My mother is Bridget Bersin, and this was the example demonstrated for her. She is the oldest child of Clarence and Thelma Borel, and my name is Bridget Bersin. I'm their granddaughter. You've probably heard the name Clarence Borel at some point and probably associated with asbestos. In fact, it may be safe to say that since about 1970, his name is continually hanging in the air in courtrooms, legal seminars, law schools, and asbestos conferences. I want to share for a few minutes about Clarence Borel before, during, and after that unpleasant association. Clarence Borel was born in southern Louisiana, right along the Bayou Teche in the heart of Cajun territory, the seventh of 9 children. In fact, he was a direct descendant several times over of the first Acadians. By the time he was 5, the family, along with half the other residents of southern Louisiana, moved to southeast Texas for the oil boom and jobs. His mother passed away when he was just 8 years old. He dropped out of high school after the 8th grade and began working. By the time he was 18, he was a can maker in an oil refinery. Grandpa was a small-framed, wiry-built man who was gentle and soft-spoken. His nickname was T or T-Boy, a common Cajun nickname. While living in Port Arthur, Texas, manufacturers of asbestos. One thing you should know is that Grandpa was against suing, not just in this case, but in general. He just did not believe in suing. So what changed his mind? He only changed his mind because of his coworkers. He realized that they were going to go through the same struggles as him, and there were little if no reparations for them. For this reason, he decided to move forward. His attorney filed suit in October of 1969, and Borel versus Fiber Board was born. A month later, Grandpa celebrated one last Thanksgiving with all of the family in our backyard. We grandkids had a wonderful time. However, looking at the photos now, his pain is very evident. Then in February of 1970, Grandpa suffered the removal of his right lung and was also diagnosed with mesothelioma. As the legal case progressed, his health declined. Knowing he might not survive to the trial, a deposition was arranged. Grandpa was too sick and bedridden to go to the courthouse, so the deposition took place on Lawndale Drive in Little Groves, Texas. My mom said there were all sorts of fancy cars like Cadillacs and Lincolns parked up and down that Oakline street. Grandma and Grandpa lived in a small 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. The living room was tiny, and wedged inside were at least 7 lawyers representing the defendants and Grandpa, plus a stenographer. Then it began. Here's a man near death, lying on the couch in the living room, weighing well under 100 pounds, being badgered by lawyers who want to make certain their clients won't be responsible for doing him harm. They're relentless. They ask the same questions over and over, trying to trick Grandpa, who was almost too weak to speak. They say, well, Clarence, you must have smoked cigarettes. That's the reason you have lung cancer. They were cruel and pitiless. And through it all, they were being served coffee by my sweet grandma. After the ordeal of the deposition, Grandpa could no longer get up or even eat, and was therefore hospitalized. After a few days, though, he decided he wanted to go home to die. Uncle Bracy sat by his side continually, and his 2 youngest daughters sang hymns to comfort him. To this day, all the sisters continue to sing hymns when they get together. My mom or aunt would give him morphine shots until they no longer helped, and on June 3rd, 1970, at the age of 57, Grandpa died. The case reached the jury trial stage in September of 1971, but continued with my grandma as the plaintiff. The U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Texas returned a favorable ruling. It was appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit in New Orleans and heard in November of 1972, where the ruling was affirmed. And lastly, in 1974, it was appealed to the United States Supreme Court, who refused to hear the case. So the decision of the Court of Appeals held. This selfless Cajun man of small stature with an 8th grade education brought down the manufacturing giants of asbestos. My loving grandma passed in 2001. Today, my Uncle Bracy, my mom, and 2 of my aunts have asbestosis. So the fight goes on. I'm thankful to each and every person here who is also fighting against this tormentor. As you can see, you're not alone. Thank you for all your efforts, especially Linda Reinstein. I know you're making a difference, and our family is grateful for your work. Thank you.